This video is about the wax resist technique and analogous colors. So for our final project, we will be using wax resist and analogous colors. So for your homework tomorrow, I am going to be looking for definitions to your vocabulary. They will not be written down. You will need to listen to me and write what you hear as definitions. If that is difficult for you, you can always turn closed caption on and pause the video, or you can find the transcripts, which I have found before, but I think it really depends on your browser. You also need bullet point notes of important information. So as you hear me say something and you're like, oh, that's something I should definitely remember, you're going to want to write that down. You need both to get credit for doing your homework tonight. So we are going to practice the wax resist technique, making little Valentine's Day cards. They're pretty small. They're quick. We can make multiples of them, which make them perfect for practice. And then since Valentine's Day is next week, you'll be able to get them out. Before we get to that though, these are your vocabulary words. They are all on your CSA. So these are definitely words that you want to write down and you want to use. They are color wheel, tertiary, analogous, composition, transparent, and opaque. Now, analogous and tertiary are words that can mean other things as well in subjects other than art, so we might want to add the word colors to those definitions so we know that they are art specific. These are the words you guys are going to want to be using in your proposal and your artist statements to use art specific vocabulary. Alright, so let's start with color wheel. This should really be a review. Right? Over here I've got the color theory wall of information. Here is our color wheel. Here's a simplified color wheel. So on this simplified color wheel, we have primary and secondary colors. The tertiary colors are the colors that fall between the primary and secondary colors. So they'd be here, 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 and here. Right? Now, as a quick review, primary colors are colors that you cannot mix to create. If you do not have blue, you're out of luck. You're going to have to go to the store and buy blue or find a blueberry, squish it, and mix it with a binder. Secondary colors, on the other hand, you can mix. Notice they are located between each primary color. So you mix red and yellow to create orange. You mix the primary colors blue and green, or blue and yellow to create green. And the primary colors red and blue to create purple. Tertiary colors fall between the primary colors. They are colors like yellow-green, blue-green, blue-violet, red-violet, red-orange, and yellow-orange. Notice that they fall between a secondary and a primary color, and therefore you mix a secondary and a primary color to get your tertiary color. What's interesting here is primary means one. Prime, in fact in math a prime number is a number that is not divisible by any number other than 1 and itself. Secondary is the second colors in line, and tertiary is the third. Cool? Now, analogous colors, that is your second definition. Analogous colors refer to colors, a group of colors beside each other on a color wheel. It's a color scheme. So if we were making a painting or a drawing and we wanted to use analogous colors, we would only choose maybe 2 primary and 1 secondary, and then the tertiaries between. Or 2 secondary, 1 primary, and the tertiaries between that. Right? So here's a nice little visual. Here's a color wheel, and I have a pie slice of just analogous colors. In English, an analogy describes things that are alike. Analogous colors are alike because they are all made using the same primary colors. Cool? This one's a little weird because we've got green to purple. but if we look over here, blue and yellow make green, blue, green, and green. Analogous. Next, composition. Composition is a super big deal in art. You can have the best skills in the whole world, but if you have bad composition, you're not going to get anywhere. Composition is the art of organizing elements of an artwork, usually according to the principles of design. I'm going to simplify this for you. You can write this down if you know what it means, but really, you're organizing the elements of art according to the principles of design for something that is pleasing. This sheet, which I will give you as reference, has 5 different ways that you can compose a composition, right? We can use overlap, crop, we can rotate objects, create a focal point, and off-center objects. This row is the stuff that tends to look good. This row is the stuff that tends to look awkward and boring. For your Valentines, you will be using each of the composition methods, and it will help you make decisions when you do your final project. All right. Now, a media is basically just a thing we make art out of. So for our wax resist, we are going to use 2 or 3 different types of media. Watercolor is one type of media. Crayon is a second type of media. And colored pencil is a third type of media. Watercolor is a transparent media. That means we can see through it. Crayon and colored pencil are an opaque media. That means we cannot see through it. A window is transparent. We can see through it. You should be able to see through your watercolors the same way. These cinder block walls are opaque. We cannot see through them. The same is true for your crayons and colored pencils. Okay? Now we get to the fun art making part of this. And when I get to use this fun little contraption that I built to hold my phone, you guys all keep asking me about. And in the interest of keeping things right side up, let's move it to the other side. All right. Now you guys don't have to focus me. Okay, so I am going to use, think off-centering for this first one. So that just means I'm going to avoid placing things right in the center. It's going to be off-centered. I'm going to do the opposite of this. So I'm going to use my watercolor paper. It's a special type of paper that is designed to soak up watercolors. And I am going to start with crayons. You guys can use either crayon or colored pencil. I would like you to experiment with both of them and choose what works best for you. And I wonder if I can make this better. Question is, will say yes. All right, so step number 1 of wax resist is taking a waxy media like a crayon and drawing your design. Your waxy media is going to give you sharper lines. White is always a lot of fun to do this with because you can't really see what you're doing until you put the watercolor over it. This Valentine is going to be for my best friend and soulmate, Kate. Her favorite color is pink, so I'm going to include pink. Oops. Notice I'm pressing pretty hard, which is why that crayon broke. We want to press hard because we want the wax to seal off the watercolor paper. Right. And just so I can see what the difference is, I'm going to use colored pencil for this next part. And I'm going to put lots, My hand is in the way because I'm right-handed. Lots of tiny little brown hearts over here. They're all off-centered. The center is like right here, and nothing is smack dab in the middle. So it makes things a little more interesting. I'm pressing pretty hard with this pencil as well. I noticed that it's got a different consistency of wax, so I'm expecting the watercolor to behave differently. And then I also think I want to put some stars over here. Cool. I am not using analogous colors right now. Pink and yellow are pretty opposite. Reds. Alright, now I'm going to add my watercolor. Now what's nice about this watercolor set in particular is my analogous colors are also located next to each other. R-O-Y-O, the blue and green are opposite. So I want to choose, let me go get that color wheel again. I want to choose 3 or 4 colors tops. Definitely no more than 4 that are located beside each other on the color wheel for this next stage. And because it's Valentine's Day, I'm going to choose red, orange, and yellow. So all of the red, oranges, and yellows. And because I'm using tertiary colors, that's going to include red, orange, and yellow, orange. All right? Now you can mix watercolors just like you can mix tempera, but you don't want to do it on top of the watercolor. You want to do it on the lid to your tub. So we will be needing your tubs for this. So I put lots of water in there, and then I grab my watercolor, and I'm gonna start with orange. Stick the color in there, and I know that this should be transparent because I know that watercolor is a transparent media, so I'm even gonna dip more water in there, and I'm just gonna paint. I want the center of this to be orange. It's not super opaque, and I'm painting straight over that crayon. Notice that none of that orange is getting onto the crayon because the crayon is waxy, and water and wax do not mix. They separate. Next, I'm gonna add, anything that wasn't covered with white in here, I want to be red. And then for my outside, I'm going to use purple. Wax resist is like magic. It's a lot of fun. I actually do a lot of this in my own artwork at home. If you're interested, I have a sketchbook with me that has a lot of it in there, and you can definitely look through it. Now what I tend to do is this is not over. I may have covered the paper, right? But it is not over. I like to wait for it to dry, and then I'll go back over it with colored pencil or crayon, and then I'll even add more watercolor. That's how you get things dark with watercolors. You just add layers. So wish I could just pause the video. Gotta let it dry. So let's move over to this one. This one I already went over twice. No, let's do this one. But if I wanted to darken up that orange, now that it's dry, I can go in, grab more orange, and darken it. So it's like layering colored glass. The more layers, the darker it gets, even though each layer is transparent. This technique was crop. So I had objects straight up to the edge of the page so that you cannot see them. All right? So that's our wax resist. You guys are going to make 5 little Valentine's Day cards. What's cool is you can give them away when you're done. Write little poems and notes on the back. And I'll show you what this looks like after I do a few more layers when you come back to class, so we don't use any more of your time. See ya.